French President Francois Hollande is on an historic visit to Cuba. He's the first French president to make that trip since the island state won independence from Spain back in the 1890s. Hollande also met with Cuban revolutionary leader Fidel Castro Monday. The one-day trip is aimed at building business and political relations. His visit highlights the growing interest in Cuba since Havana and Washington began to normalize diplomatic relations. CCTV's Michael Voss is in Havana with the latest. Michael.
Yes, it's been a very busy one day here. He started at the university with an important speech. There's been walk-arounds in central Havana, shaking hands, a meeting, an unexpected meeting, we didn't know for sure this would happen, with Cuba's leader Fidel Castro, and also a meeting with President Raul Castro and a formal state banquet for this evening. A busy day, a lot to do, and as you say, it shows the growing interest internationally in communist Cuba since the United States announced that it was going to restore diplomatic relations.
France's President Francois Hollande is the first Western leader to pay a state visit to Cuba in decades, and the first since the historic thaw in relations between Cuba and the United States. Cuba's President Raul Castro is looking to attract foreign investment, while France hopes to play a greater political and economic role as Cuba opens up to the West. In a speech at the University of Havana, he called on the US to end its decades-old trade embargo and said that he'd work with other European leaders to forge closer ties with Cuba.
When I return to Europe, I will inform the EU heads of state meeting about what the Cuban people expect and what Europe can do to accompany Cuba in the changes which are underway.
Hollande arrived in Havana on Sunday night after a climate change summit with Caribbean leaders in the French overseas territory Martinique. He's traveling with a sizable entourage, including 7 government ministers and a delegation of business executives from Air France, the telecoms company Orange, and the hotel group Accor, amongst others. There are already around 60 French companies operating in Cuba, ranging from hotel construction to power plants. Pernod Ricard has a joint venture with Havana Club Rum. They're hoping to sell to the US once the embargo is lifted, while other French companies are looking for new business opportunities in Cuba. They're not alone. There's been a regular stream of US, European and Asian politicians and business delegations visiting Cuba in recent months. None, though, were accompanied by a head of state.
President Hollande signed 4 scientific and academic cooperation agreements at the university, but any business deals will take longer to materialize. This is a flying visit. He heads off to Haiti first thing Tuesday morning.
And Michael, any indications what sort of business deals the French are looking for?
Well, it's interesting to see the composition of those people who are coming with the president here. For example, there is the French telecommunications company Orange. Now, Cuba has very low mobile phone uptake, has some of the lowest internet uptake in the world. The United States, President Obama has lifted part of the sanctions to allow US telecommunications companies to provide equipment and help develop internet and telecommunications infrastructure in Cuba. So the French look as if they're interested in this too. But I have to say that Cuba recently announced that it also had advanced negotiations with the Chinese telecom company Huawei.
All right, CCTV's Michael Voss live in Havana. Thank you.